to kill your own father, the act of patricide, that is one of the most horrific sins you could think of. But also, Ripley is against a multi-trillion-dollar corporation that's full of greed. It doesn't care about its employees. They will...
I'm talking xenomorph, though.
Yeah,
I think xenomorph, you're going to go with the antagonist.
I mean, Wayland's as much as antagonist against Ripley as Xenomorph, if
true.
not more.
It's true.
Wayland might be more of an antagonist against Ripley because Wayland Corp is the reason why they're in this situation because...
Yeah. Hello, movie friends. Welcome back to the show. This is Anthony.
And this is James. And we're going to do something different today. We're going to compare and contrast two movie characters, specifically heroic characters and protagonists, from two completely different movies.
Completely different.
And I think it's going to be fun because when you eliminate the constraints of location, setting, genre, time period, you can compare and contrast any movie character really with another character. So I think it should be fun. And we chose Maximus Decimus Meridius from Gladiator and then Ellen Ripley from the Alien franchise because they're two of our favorite characters of all time.
Yeah, they're both so iconic. And Sigourney Weaver and Russell Crowe, these are to this day the most defining roles of their careers. I mean, in Russell Crowe, he's been nominated for several Oscars and been in other well-respected films, and Sigourney as well. But still, to this day, it's always Ripley and Maximus for them. And I think they're both quintessential heroes, hero figures in the history of cinema. I think they're a couple of the greatest leaders we've ever seen on screen. And I think that the actors portraying them are endlessly talented and effortlessly personable and charismatic and brought so much to their roles, which made them iconic. On top of these are both Ridley Scott films, and obviously being one of the most talented directors to ever live, he brought out great performances from them, put them in great environments and locations, and crafted incredibly memorable stories built around these characters.
And we'll mostly be talking about Ripley from Alien and Aliens. Obviously, the character's been in, 4 or 5 Alien movies in addition. Yeah. So Aliens 3, then Alien Resurrection. But the character just changes so much at that point. Not that she becomes less of a character, but I think just she's very authentic in the first 2 versions. You know, one of them, there's a clone Ripley, and it's kind of a back and forth. It gets a little odd. And not everyone loves Aliens 3.
Yeah, she treats like one of the aliens as her child. It's like, it's a little strange, like a motherly relationship with it. And the clone thing, I think Alien 4, Alien Resurrection, you and I make fun of it sometimes on the show a couple of times, but it's definitely one of our most ridiculous movies to make fun of. And I think the approach to the character was just like kind of a nail in the coffin to what a great character she was for a couple of movies. And she is very strong in the third film, but I just think the third film, it's not, we all know it's weak compared to the other two.
It's divisive.
Yeah.
It's different. You know, it's Fincher's first film. We love the guy as a director and everything, but not everyone loves that movie.
And it was a studio overhaul as well.
But I think Alien and Aliens are incredible films for the character of Ellen Ripley, just like Gladiator is an incredible film to showcase Maximus Decimus Meridius. And they're both heroes. They're both great protagonists for different reasons, but they also have very similar traits, which we'll get into. We have a bunch of sections sorted out that we'll have a little fun. We'll get a little deep analysis on them. We'll talk about their films and, you know, their themes, their goals, their motivations, their vulnerabilities, their strengths, attributes, abilities. We'll talk about wardrobe, stuff like that. We're going to go over everything with these two characters.
Deep dive. And in this episode, we're going to be doing a very special movie poster giveaway to win a movie poster of a movie of your choosing. All you have to do to enter this contest is to make a comment on the YouTube video of this episode. That enters you into the contest, and we will draw the winner in 1 week time. Good luck, everyone.
But before we continue, the best way to support Raiders of the Lost Podcast is to become a patron on patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast, where you get awesome perks like Patreon bonus episodes that every patron has access to. Our Godfather tier patrons get their own custom-made, personal picked Godfather episode that they get to choose. Whatever you want to cover, we will cover for you. Godfathers only have access to that. $10 and $25 tier patrons also have access to our Discord, which we interact with every day and do watch parties. We've also launched our podcast masterclass online course last year. So for anyone who wants to start a podcast or improve their current podcast, our 22-chapter, 46-video lesson course will give you all the secrets behind the scenes of our show. The link is podcastmasterclass.teachable.com, or just go onto our homepage of our website, RaidersOfTheLostPodcast.com. It is right there. You can check it out. Now, thank you so much for tuning in around the world. Be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave the 5-star reviews on Apple, rate us on Spotify. We appreciate the support all around the world. Now, let's get back into, or let's start the episode of Maximus versus Ripley.
What's interesting about comparing them both, and obviously being the leads of their respective films, is Maximus is the lead of the movie right from the get-go. We know he's the lead of the film. This is his movie. But Alien, it's basically an ensemble for the first 25 minutes or so, and we don't know who the main lead of the movie is until people start dying, and then eventually Ripley begins commanding the survivors and basically taking control of the situation until she's finally the remaining character left, and then obviously it's her movie. But it's interesting to see. We don't even know if it's your first time watching the movie and you don't even know what about the film, because obviously pop culture online, Ripley is all over anything to do with Alien. So, I mean, if you're looking into the film, you know she's the lead. But if you're watching this blindly for the first time, you wouldn't know that she's the lead of the movie until about the first act is over, which is interesting.
That is a great point, because the opening of Gladiator is a battle sequence of Maximus leading his men to victory over Germania in the final quote-unquote barbarians against the Roman Empire in Northern Europe, basically, from modern day today.
And what's also interesting is that we've talked about on the show before, but the script for Gladiator was being written as they filmed, so they didn't even have a real plan laid out for Maximus's story. They were just going as they went along, and what would happen is, like, they would film scenes, and then Ridley would talk to his writers and be like, hey, it would be cool if then after this scene, then we do this in the next couple of days, we can film these sequences, can you write scenes for this? And they actually filmed it in chronological order because they were writing as they were going, which is extremely rare for any kind of large budget film. That never happens, and ironically it worked out and created. It's funny because it was such a loose production, but it created one of my favorite characters of all time. Whereas you contrast it with Alien, it was, a script ready, good to go, signed, sealed, delivered, and Ridley Scott produced the film.
Signed, sealed, delivered.
I'm yours, Ripley. And so they were made in completely different ways, where I'm sure the Alien set was pretty constructed. It was a well-oiled machine.
Intense pre-production, lots of design pre-production work, everything like that.
Exactly, whereas Gladiator was like,
let's build a Coliseum over there.
Let's see what happens. I'm Ridley Scott.
Let's get some tigers.
I'm Ridley Scott.
You know what would look great right here, Mike, is like a bunch of tigers to come over and attack Russell.
Can you write a scene tomorrow about tigers going after Russell? Don't worry about it. I'll get the tigers. I'm Ridley fucking Scott.
It'll be dynamite, Mike.
Russell Crowe even said that he hated the script in the dialogue, and he said that it was the worst dialogue he'd ever heard. But he told the writer, I'm the greatest actor alive, so I'll pull it off.
That's amazing.
So the productions were very different, but we got two of the most iconic lead heroes ever.
And we didn't choose these because of Ridley Scott directing both the first films of Gladiator and Alien. Obviously, we know James Cameron directed Aliens, the sequel, which is a lot of people think is just as good as Alien, which I totally am fine with that assessment. It was kind of just by chance. We just chose it because we love these characters so much. We came up with the idea, like, what if we do episodes?
You came up with the idea.
Thanks, man. I'm being modest. I came up with the idea because I'm awesome.
There goes the modesty. That was a real quick turn.
Quick 180. It's false modesty. It's a trick. It's an illusion. It's like fool's gold.
Surface. You're a politician.
All the free grain you want. Just give me the power. We chose it because, like I said, we thought, like, if we're going to do heroes versus heroes, who are two of our favorite protagonists in the history of film, in movies that we love? Both these movies are in our top 15 of all time, right? You got Alien top 15, right?
Of all time,
and your favorites, not greatest ever made.
I would put it maybe in my favorites, but I put it in top 15 American movies.
Talking your favorites here,
It's probably in my top 15.
Yeah, so it's put in both of ours top 15. Well, actually, I would put it for.
You're like holding a gun to my head. Is it your top 15, right? Is it your top 15, right?
No, you need too much specificity. You're like, well, it's my top 10 for films shot in the soundstage in Los Angeles between the eras
decade of 65.
between 1978 and 1979.
After the Romanticism period.
Probably my top 15 there, but I mean, if we're going international, it's not even my top 80. We chose it because we love the characters so much. It's Maximus and Ripley. I have Funkos of both of them I'm not on the desk right now, but they're over there hanging.
Why aren't they on the desk?
Because I have the Star Wars set up right now. I got my Star Wars
it's their
helmet.
Episode.
I got bad. I didn't even think of that.
You're gonna throw it up.
Well, we're filming. I can't get up. We don't have an assistant or anything.
Hey, don't worry. I'll cut. Go get it. Go get him. We don't have an assistant. So here we go.
All right, I got up to
James
get him.
has him.
So if you're watching on YouTube, I got Ripley holding the cat, and I got
are.
Maximus with the right after he says, "Are you not entertained?"
You're not holding it. I love that
Sword.
poster.
So these are two of our favorite characters of all time, and here, let's put them on the disc. I forgot that they were.
Yeah,
over
I mean,
there.
it's their special episode.
They're upside down on the shelf because we had to move stuff around for an Amazon video. Anyways,
Oh yeah, we are working with Amazon.
we're working with
no
him.
big deal.
No big deal.
Mr.
right
Modest over here. Name drop.
now. Yeah. So what? Like I said, it's false modesty. Anyways, how about we start with the little background on both characters? What do you think?
I would love that.
All right, let's begin with it. See, that's sarcasm. Maximus Decimus Meridius, obviously played by Russell Crowe. He is a high-ranking.
That's a high-ranking official.
All right, too goofy. Van Damme. He is a high-ranking Roman general in command of multiple Roman legions who served under the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius in his 12-year campaign against the barbarians in Germania. He later served as a gladiator in the arena after he escaped the execution commanded by Commodus. Obviously, we all know he eventually killed Commodus in battle.
And obviously, we all know sometimes the cold makes the blade stick.
It makes the blade stick sometimes. It makes the frost makes the blade stick. He was a great general who was favored by Emperor Marcus Aurelius over his own son because he was a good man, an amazing general, and was not corrupted by the politics of Rome. That's why Marcus Aurelius offered him Caesarship instead of his son Commodus, because Commodus is not a moral man. You've known that since you were children.
With all my heart, no.
And we all know the story of what happens to Maximus. He is forced to give loyalty and fealty to Commodus, which he declines, and then Commodus makes him an enemy of the state, which we know he probably would have at some point because Maximus commanded legions and had the loyalty of many men in Rome. And then Commodus executed his wife and son and tried to execute Maximus, who escaped execution, was picked up by slave traders, became a gladiator, fought his way to Rome, fought in the Colosseum to stand in front of the emperor, and obviously battled Commodus in the arena and defeated Commodus before dying himself.
Yeah,
of a fatal wound.
I love this movie.
Secretly left by Commodus.
It's a great movie. And Maximus is one of my favorite characters in cinema.
Same.
Yeah.
And then we have Ellen Ripley, who we're going to talk about specifically from Alien and Aliens. She is Lieutenant First Class Ellen Louise Ripley, a civilian advisor to the United States Colonel, Colonial Marine Corps, and a hugely influential figure in humanity's encounters with the species xenomorph XX121. Ellen Ripley was born on January 7th, 2092 at the Olympia colony on Luna. In 2094, there was an outbreak of XMB virus on Earth's moon, led to the colony being quarantined for 16 years. So she spent 16 years of her childhood and teenage years in quarantine until she eventually left quarantine. She began her career as a warrant officer with Wayland-Yutani Corporation's commercial freight operations after graduating top of her class in engineering and stuff like that after she got out of quarantine. She was assigned to the USCSS Nostromo in 2122 when it encountered a single xenomorph unintentionally collected from the moon, LV-426. The event led to the death of the rest of Nostromo's crew and the destruction of the ship, and Ripley's encounter with the xenomorph would fundamentally alter the course of her life.
And her job specifically isn't quite clear in the film, but she's a warrant officer, and basically she's second in command on the ship. She's an executive officer within that company in the outfit. So she actually has lots of skills, like you said, engineering. She's not quite a pilot yet, but she understands the guidance system, how to navigate. And so she has a lot of skills that make her very useful for especially in a situation where the first in command goes down.
Exactly. And so we know the plot of Alien. This is where the Nostromo, while they're 10 months away from its return to Earth, they get the signal that there's a distress signal that wakes the crew up, and they have to investigate what the signal is, which is on LV-426. That's where they encounter the alien. And then we all know what happens in that film. And then in Aliens, Ellen Ripley goes back to LV-426 after she was in stasis for 57 years. She is coerced and tricked into going back, thinking that she will destroy the alien with the crew and the soldiers she's with, but instead, Wayland Corp is trying to bring the alien back to study and use for nefarious purposes. And so she goes under the guise of corporate greed.
Yeah. And I want to talk about something they have a lot in common, Maximus and Ripley, is they both lost their families, but in very different ways. So obviously Maximus's family is slaughtered at the orders of Commodus.
I believe they're hung and
hung and burned.
Yeah. And Obviously,
his wife was raped many times by all the soldiers probably. So Commodus made sure that his family would suffer, which I think is worse than just death. Knowing that his wife and child, his son, suffered greatly before they died for probably a very long period of time. I think that was what even probably tore at his heart more than just their death alone. So terrible, terrible way for your family to go and for Maximus to face. Whereas Ellen in Aliens, we discover that her family's also dead, but they died of natural causes, just from naturally aging out and dying of old age because Ripley was asleep for so long. So it's very similar to what happens to Cooper in Interstellar, where his daughter ends up dying of old age while he's still in his middle age. So in Aliens, she's dealing with the death of her family. They didn't die horribly, but the fact that they lived out their entire lives without ever seeing her again is a very difficult thing for someone to grasp and to come to terms with.
And ironically, Ripley was supposed to be taking a leave after her original mission in Alien. If it went smoothly, she was going to go home and she was going to get a leave because she hadn't seen her daughter in a couple of years. She'd been working so much. And so she made an agreement with Wayland to work aboard the Nostromo for this one voyage, but which ended up ending in disaster and her being in stasis for 57 years and missing her child grow up.
And this is why she formed such a strong bond with Newt in Aliens, because it's like a surrogate daughter for her, because she never got to raise her daughter into adulthood. And so Newt is an opportunity for her to live out those maternal instincts and needs and feelings that she had but was taken away from her.
Excellent points.
Thanks, man.
How about we get into some attributes and abilities and stuff like that?
Sounds great, man.
Starting off with Maximus, who is in peak physical condition for a soldier. He's an expert swordsman. He doesn't lose a single fight in this movie at all. He never loses a fight. He's a brilliant military strategist and tactician. He's highly intelligent. He has incredible leadership. Whatever Maximus does, men follow him. He's a great leader. They are drawn to him in his presence because of his charisma, his fearlessness, his willpower, his loyalty, and friendships.
He's also extremely selfless, and he treats others as normal, as equal to himself. He commands the respect of an entire army through his, just by his actions. He doesn't try to buy their loyalty. He doesn't try to weasel his way into power. He earns everything he's given, and he earns eventually the proposition of becoming the new emperor of Rome by Marcus Aurelius, because Marcus sees how good of a man he is, how morally powerful how morally strong he is, and I think his lack of a desire for power is one of his greatest attributes as well, which is what makes Marcus beg him to take up the power of the throne of being the emperor of Rome, because Maximus doesn't want power. He doesn't pursue it, and that's what makes him the perfect choice.
A great man doesn't seek to lead. He's called to it. Let's go. And obviously in the gladiator arena, or just in gladiator camp, and he showcases his selflessness when he tries to save his fellow slaves. He's in battle, the battle of ancient Rome versus Carthage. The Carthaginians are supposed to be decimated, but they work together because of Maximus, because of his leadership qualities, building friendships with these slaves. It's a very, very Spartacus-esque storyline for Maximus. He's probably the most comparable character to him in film history is Spartacus, because he led a very similar rebellion. Spartacus was a real person, was a real gladiator slave who led a rebellion for a short time. He waged war against the empire, which, they had ended up having an army of around 100,000 people, but eventually they were just taken out one by one. But, Maximus is very similar to Spartacus in that way, where he leads a rebellion among these slaves, these people who never worked together before, but once Maximus is there, he can turn any group of people into a functioning group.
And when I watch Gladiator, and it is one of my most watched films, and yet to this day, if I watch it, I still get so emotional by the end. I still get so inspired by Maximus. And I know it's just a movie, but the character is a very inspiring figure, even just as an audience member watching the film. And I feel like if Maximus was leading me, I'd go to war for him, and I would die. I'd put my life on the line for him, because he's such an incredible, powerful figure. Even though it's fictional, there's something about it. I think he transcends just the screen.
Yeah, if you know anything about like ancient history and ancient Roman history, ancient Greek history, specifically in ancient Rome, it wasn't just the dictators or the emperors for the time being or the counselors for whatever year they were elected to be counselor having control and leadership over legions of soldiers. Generals and just different men had
Warlords.
Basically, kind of like warlords. They had legions under their command. It was a form of military power in a way, and sometimes they'd be counselors, sometimes they wouldn't. So Maximus is very much like one of those kinds of men in ancient Rome, where he has legions of men's loyalty who fight for him.
Yeah, and I love Maximus, and I think he is the definitive action hero in history.
Extreme willpower. He never, ever gives up for achieving his goal. Once he finds his goal, which we'll talk about in a little bit, he doesn't stop until he achieves it.
100%.
Now let's get to Ellen Ripley. I think she has similar characteristics to Maximus, which is why they're so great to compare. Specifically, I think leadership is one of her greatest traits because, like Anthony was saying, it's an interesting opening of Alien where we don't know who the lead character is of this movie, really. We don't find out until shit starts hitting the fan, and guess who rises to the top of the group of people? The strongest person. Ellen Ripley becomes the leader of this group of people who are being destroyed and taken out one by one by a mysterious alien life force.
And also, Ripley is right in every situation in the first half of the film. She's always 100%. Right. And then the other characters not taking her advice or not going with her ideas is what ends up getting people killed. And I think right from the get-go, she makes the right call by not allowing them onto the ship.
The quarantine
situation. She's like, they're not allowed on the ship. Like, she's always making the right call, no matter the situation. She has impeccable judgment, and everyone else has very flawed judgment, and they fight amongst themselves. But Ripley always seems to know the right action for whatever conflict arises.
Exactly, because specifically with trying to uphold the quarantine procedures after those men go and Willem Hurt's character gets the facehugger on his face, they're trying to come into the ship, and Ripley's telling them, no, there's no way we're doing this, especially someone like her who has experience with being quarantined for 16 years of her entire life. When you know that backstory, you understand why she's so cool in situations like this. Had Ripley's decision stuck, this entire major crisis would have been averted. Obviously, that doesn't make for a very good movie. And then Ash, who we find out is an android who has Wayland's corporate interests, number one goal for his programming at heart, technically if he had a heart, opens the doors manually against Ripley's orders, which causes just havoc to happen.
And I also think Ripley has an intense amount of bravery. So much bravery. Like the third act of that movie, of her having to walk through the spaceship twice, knowing there could be an alien around any corner, is just like, when I watched that movie, I'm like, could I do that?
When she comes out of the elevator with the smoke everywhere, the alarm going off with the flamethrower, sweating and just like water dripping everywhere, and the entire every hallway looks like an alien. The design's so perfect like that, where it could be around every corner. I don't think I'd have the balls to do that.
But she's just like, I don't give a F. Like, I'm gonna do this, and she does it. She does it twice. And Sigourney, I think that might be my favorite part of her performance, is her portraying that fear and that terror, but still finding the strength and digging deep and just getting the courage and bravery to keep pushing onward, because she knows she has to kill the alien, because if the alien gets out and gets anywhere on Earth or where any other colony is, humanity is at risk and the species is at risk. And so she makes the difficult decision. She's like, I got to blow this entire space station up on my own and try to get out of here alive. And she just like, she pulls it off.
She's also very cool under pressure. Not only with both ending climaxes where she blows the xenomorph in the first film at the end out of the airlock, but the second time she keeps her cool under pressure against the Queen xenomorph, which is one of the greatest fight scenes ever in a sci-fi film and a horror film, where she puts on the P5000 power workloader suit and she's like, let's go, mother versus mother, let's have it out right now, which is like, it makes you seem like the aliens should have been afraid of Ripley in that sequence.
And she also saves the Marines at the end of the first act when they're getting ambushed by hundreds of xenomorphs, and then their commanding officer is freezing and he doesn't know what to do. And then she takes command of the situation, gets the shuttle over there, and she is the reason why those Marines even make it out alive. It's because of Ripley's action.
Yeah, that's one of her most heroic moments for sure. Again, she has high intelligence like Maximus. Another great quality of Ripley's that I really love that she has is she doesn't take shit from anybody. It's the first time anyone tries to talk her down in this movie, she just tells them to F off immediately. It's one of her first pieces of dialogue. It's great. It gives you a sense of the character immediately because this is a woman living in a man's world. Clearly, there are two women in Alien, and then in Aliens, there are, I think, two women in that sequence in that movie as well, too. It's her and
in Aliens?
It's not Vasquez. So they're the two women in that movie besides Newt, little girl. But she's a woman in a man's world, and you can assume and you can tell that she's probably been talked down to her entire career, which is why she has to like show her leadership qualities through action because no one's giving her the respect of being a leader.
She's around boys,
even though she was in second in command. No one treated her like she was second in command. She had to, it had to wait till the alien was attacking everybody for her to be able to get a voice heard.
Ridley Scott and James Cameron, they have a history of just writing and directing movies with great, strong female leads. I mean, you have these two, Thelma and Louise, a bunch of others, and I think kudos to them for, and these actors like Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2, like just showing that it doesn't have to be macho men who can be tough. Like, women can be just as tough, and Ripley is a clear example of that.
Not to mention wildly courageous and brave, not just because of what happens in Alien and obviously defeating the xenomorph at the end of the movie, being the lone survivor of the attack, but also in Aliens, going back to LV-426. Who the hell would want to go back? Only someone as badass as Ellen Ripley, because she's like, we're going to blow it to hell. That's why we're going, right?
Let's go shit up.
And Burke's like, yeah, totally. We're going to go blow it up. She's like, all right, I'm in. As long as we're destroying this thing and sending it to hell, then I'm in. Which is so badass. It's so cool. Like, I would be terrified. I'd be like, dude, just put me back to sleep rather than going to LV-426.
And what's really cool about, the contrasting Ellen with Maximus is already a trained, expert warrior by the start of the movie. Whereas Ripley, she's not a warrior. She's not a fighter. She's never done this stuff. But by the end of the first film, she becomes a warrior. And then by the second film, she's a full-on, you're like, she is good to go. She's locked and loaded, like she can handle herself. And so she transforms in the first film into a warrior. And it's similar to Linda Hamilton's turn from Terminator 1 to Terminator 2, the Sarah Connor transformation, which I mean, that would be, isn't that a great idea for like if they want to adapt a series for Terminator, like I would love to see Linda Hamilton's transformation from, Sarah Connor's transformation from the first film to the second film. That would be interesting.
From giving birth to John and then becoming Sarah Connor.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be a great series.
Warrior
They should stop making movie sequels and just make a series or an anthology.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be an adaptation of a movie that's already made. But anyways, I digress. But Ripley goes through a similar transformation, but it's in the end of this film. By the third act, she becomes a warrior, whereas Maximus starts out already a warrior.
Now, how about we'll talk about weaknesses and vulnerabilities, and then we'll get into our intermission. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Let's start off with Maximus. I think Maximus's biggest weakness and vulnerability is his ignorance and naivety, specifically to the politics of Rome. And had Maximus understood, Maximus understood Roman politics better, he could have probably figured out a way to save his family. However, it probably would have only been temporary anyway. So, like, for example, because he has to pledge loyalty to Commodus, obviously he knows, or he should know, that because he doesn't, it's going to make him an enemy of the emperor and an enemy of the state. And obviously Commodus is going to come after him because they are rivals. Even though he embraces him like a brother, they've been rivals since they were children. Commodus has been envious of Maximus his entire life. And Maximus also has legions of soldiers that fight for him, not for Commodus. So you could argue that maybe his family would have been spared if just momentarily he just lied to Commodus, pledged fake loyalty, was able to get his family and exile himself and his family from Rome.
I would say, and Game of Thrones, it kind of drew from Maximus when Jon Snow was unable to kneel to Cersei in the 8th season. Same kind of thing where I don't think it's naivety. And then Tyrion's like, can you just lie just once? So I think it's not naivety or ignorance. I think that it's his huge amount of honor that is a weakness. Because he's so honorable, he can't act in a way that would be considered, lying or trying to trick someone, even though he's an enemy. And he can't kneel to a man who killed his father figure and the man he loved most. And so I think it's Maximus's intense honor that is his weakness.
But also, don't you think
also his strength.
The naivety of politics, because he's not a political man.
I would say the naivety of politics in terms of the plan of escape failing at the end, not understanding that there's no way this intricate plan laid out is going to fall on deaf ears. Someone's going to whisper about this, and there's no way you're getting out of here alive.
So I would say that. I agree. I'm just thinking of it from the perspective of trying to save his family. But again, it's like quick thinking. Like he just gets killed. He just found out Marcus Aurelius died. Commodus is asking for his land.
He knows Commodus did it.
He knows Commodus did it. Do I take his hand? You're right. It's honor. He could never touch Commodus's hand besides in battle because of that point.
Yeah. So I would say it's naivety in the third act, and then honor in the first act.
Yeah.
Are his weaknesses.
So I'd say those are them for that. For Ripley, I would say. Do you have any other weaknesses?
No, he has very few weaknesses.
He's a good guy.
Although bullets are probably a weakness.
Probably. And actually daggers. He took a dagger to the lung and just fell down like 10 minutes later.
What a weakling.
What a loser. Just kidding.
Oh, sorry. So there is confusion about the knife. And I got a couple DMs from people because some people, when they see that scene, they think that the knife was poisoned, and that's what made Maximus hallucinate and come in and out of kind of consciousness as he's slipping into Elysium. It's not poison. If there was poison on the knife, Ridley Scott would have shown it because it's something that's important to the plot. So he would have shown the audience, there's poison laced on this knife. And so all it is it's a dagger that's stabbed in his lungs, and you can tell that it's hit his lungs because when the knife's in him through his back, Ridley Scott purposely shows a shot of Russell Crowe struggling to breathe for a half a second.
He goes
so it clearly pierced his lungs, and he's bleeding out.
One of his lungs.
Yeah, one of his lungs, and he's bleeding out. So I think that it was such a deep wound that he's losing a lot of blood, and obviously it's going to make you lightheaded. And he's on the verge of death, not from poison, but just from it's such a lethal wound. Although it's not a wound that you die from instantly, it's something that, even if he didn't fight Commodus, he was going to die in a matter of 5 minutes or so and bleed out.
No, probably maybe an hour.
Maybe 45 minutes.
Something like that.
Yeah,
so it was a fatal wound, but it was temporary in terms of being alive.
But it wasn't a poison. It wasn't a poison.
Didn't have to poison. He stabbed him right in the lungs, and he just wanted to weaken him and get him on the verge of death so that he could easily whoop him in the arena, which he did not.
No.
Because he takes it right in the jugular.
That's one of Commodus's flaws, his arrogance.
Now, that would be a great episode to do Commodus.
Oh, yeah.
I love Commodus. Next up, we have Ripley. And for weaknesses for Ripley, I would say that she's a little too trusting. She sees the best in people, which can get her into trouble a few times. She sees the best in Ash at times, and then she finds out he's an android working specifically for Wayland's best interests. And also, she's too trusting of Burke after she agrees to go back to LV-426 at the beginning of Aliens. I mean, she just had this horrific situation where she was betrayed by Wayland and Mother, the computer, because that's what wanted the alien on board or wanted to break protocol was Wayland Corp's programming of Ash to let everyone else on board, which caused the whole entire situation. So I think she was a little too trusting of Wayland Corporations, even though they just backstabbed her and betrayed her earlier.
Yeah, I think her trustingness is definitely her greatest weakness. And I think she doesn't have any other weaknesses besides that. You could say her compassionate nature is a weakness as well, too compassionate at times. But that lends to trustworthiness as well.
It's trustworthiness to a fault.
Yeah, exactly.
It can get you into trouble if you only see the best in people, which is a good trait to have.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that isn't a great thing, but it can get you into bad situations.
Yeah, exactly. So that, I think, is definitely her biggest flaw. Otherwise, I think she's a flawless character.
Flawless.
Flauntless.
All right, how about we head on into our intermission?
Let's go.
Of the Lost podcast is brought to you by our good friends at manscaped.com, the leaders in men's grooming, who are turning your shower routine into your favorite part of the day with their new ultra premium collection. This all-in-one hygiene skin and hair bundle comes with deodorant, body wash, 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner, hydrating body spray, and a free set of Manscaped lip balm. Save big by going to manscaped.com and use our special promo code Raiders of the Lost at checkout for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. April is also National Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, and we're partnering with Manscaped to help spread the word. Visit manscaped.com/TCS to learn more about simple self-checks for cancer prevention and share to help save a life.
For all you fans of movies and TV, there's no better way to express your love than by buying a bunch of movie posters at movieposters.com. Use our very special promo code Raiders10 to get 10% off your order today. They have a gigantic selection of all sorts of sizes, framing, backlighting, as well as pretty much every movie and TV show imaginable in their arsenal. They're also sponsoring our movie poster giveaway, which is in this episode. We've done a bunch of contests with movieposters.com, and we've had a lot of fans get free posters of some of their favorite movies, so we hope you enter this contest today for this episode so that you can win a free poster. Again, head on over to movieposters.com and use our special promo code Raiders10 to get 10% off your order today.
Let's head on into our intermission and begin with our movie quote competition. I'll go first. You ready?
I was born ready.
I've always liked you, Byron, but you never know when to shut up. Even bad men love their mamas.
Byron. I don't know.
310 to Yuma.
Oh.
Ben Wade. Right
Ben
before he kills
Wade.
him with the fork.
Good one, man. Good one.
Those old Western forks, it's just like two-pronged.
Pitchfork? Oh, no, yeah.
Every time I watch a Western, they're using those two-pronged forks. I'm like, someone should have invented this sooner. Just make a flat center. Or 3 prongs.
It looks like a good steak, though.
It does. No, it's when they're on the West.
I don't like the gristle. Cut out the gristle. All right, here's my quote. Then I saw it. I saw a mom who would die for her son, a man who would kill for his wife, a boy angry and alone. Laid out in front of him, the bad path. I saw it, and the path was a circle, round and round. So I changed it.
Looper
Looper is
Nice.
correct.
Nice.
Well, I'm fixing my light. Sorry, it fell down.
It's okay. You fixed that light, man. Maybe next time don't knock it over. All right, my guess this movie release year.
I didn't knock it over.
Then how did it fall? The wind?
No, I placed it down to put my
So you-
sign back up, and then I forgot to put it back
It's
up.
all good. So this whole time it's been down?
Yeah, it's so dark over here. I was
God.
like, it's so dark over here. What
I
happened?
thought you were a professional. Guess this movie release year. L.A. Confidential.
97.
Bada bing.
Easy peasy.
You probably looked at it today.
What are you talking about? Why would I? I knew that. Okay. Where the Wild Things Are.
2009.
Correct. You probably looked that up today.
Easy. Oh, I knew that. All right. Movie pop quiz time. What Chris Hemsworth movie does Sigourney Weaver appear in?
Ghostbusters.
Is she in that Ghostbusters Afterlife?
Yeah, does she have a cameo?
I don't know. I've never seen it. Well, I wasn't thinking of that. If she's in it.
Okay. What's another?
No, Afterlife, the original reboot.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. Ghostbusters.
I think it's just Ghostbusters.
Jake's.
Not that one.
Sigourney Weaver in a Chris Hemsworth movie. I'm gonna go with Black Hat.
Cabin in the Woods.
Oh, at the end.
She's the director.
Oh my god. I'm a bonehead.
No, you're not, man.
Okay. Here's my quiz question. What famous musician did Paul Dano play in a movie?
Let's see. Eminem. I don't even know if I've seen a musician movie he's in. I don't know.
Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys.
Oh, the Beach Boys movie.
Yeah.
That's right. That wasn't that long ago. All right. Who's our biggest hater of the week?
We got a bunch.
Any unsubscribes,
We got
haters?
a bunch of unsubscribes.
Do we have any real haters?
No real haters. Although you had like last week was one for the ages.
One for the
One
books.
for the books. Okay. Caleb Jeter. When James asks Anthony how many movies Sam Jackson and Bruce Willis have together, but he says they were in 4 movies, but actually they were in 5. James forgot about Glass. Unsubscribed. Don't feel bad about it, Anthony. Thanks,
Oh,
thanks,
man, I
Caleb.
did miss Glass, didn't I?
Yeah.
So sorry, pal.
Yeah. He also said, great list, guys, but neither James nor Anthony put Red on their list. Unsubscribed.
On list of top 10 movies?
Top 10 movies for Bruce Willis.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's good, but I wouldn't put
He's
it
been
top
in some
10.
good movies, pal, but I respect your opinion.
Yeah, I respect your opinion too, man. It's a great opinion. Okay, Twisted Vibrations. God damn it, guys. I'm listening to you guys while silversmithing all this intricate work, and you guys are making me laugh and screw up my piece. Unsubscribe.
The Bruce Willis episode was pretty funny.
Yeah, sorry, bud. It was hilarious. And then Sterling Storm. Actually, The Sixth Sense is rated PG-13, not R, like you said, you idiot. No, I threw that in. Check your facts, or us nerds will unsubscribe. I threw in the F.
I feel like
word.
you love to say movies are rated R that are actually PG-13. You've done it like a handful of times.
I don't know
It's
why.
like a thing of it's like a tick. Like you
must
just
be,
do it. You're
yeah.
like, oh yeah, Finding Nemo rated R. It was very brave.
NC-17.
Very brave of Pixar to make a rated R movie.
Challenging. Okay, Garden of Tea 74. No mention of Look Who's Talking. Fellas, this is peak childhood nostalgia. Unsubscribe.
It was pretty good.
And then I have a favorite comment. Eyes wide surprise. Guys, I would like to buy the rights to Mark Schlemansky's Zamboni Assassins. DM me for details.
Man, that was so good.
That was a good one.
Mark Schlemansky.
Mark Schlemansky.
And then someone makes a poster of that.
Today's Godfather patron shout out of the episode is our great friend Tanner Teagarden. Tanner's been a patron for a very long time.
How long is he's a new Godfather tier though?
Yeah,
You upped because he's been a patron forever.
Yeah, upped up to Godfather.
Wow, Tanner, are you kidding me?
You're the best, pal.
What's his episode gonna be?
Thief with James Caan.
Oh, I love that
Yeah,
movie.
an early Michael Mann
Great
movie.
opening.
It's so good. Great cinematography.
19,
Awesome.
like 80,
86, I think.
80s, right?
Yeah, early 80s.
He's awesome in that movie.
Yeah, it's such a great pick. Thank you so much, Tanner. You are the best. We appreciate your support. Patreon literally allows James and I to do the podcast full time. It is super helpful for us. So we love y'all so much for being in our Patreon. Thank you so much. Great episode. It'll be coming out soon.
Now, our number one supporter of this week, besides The Godfather, is a great 5-star review from JCLL21. Film podcast for everyone. Hey guys, I have found your podcast in the last year, and thank God. I'm an avid listener of film podcasts, and Raiders of the Lost is exceptional. From listening to over 100 episodes, holy guacamole, you two have an undoubtable love of film. Your tones, knowledge, and laughs share the statement. Listening to your podcast is amazing for many reasons, including, and by far my favorite reason, you're not up your own ass and have fun. That's how we like to keep it. You cover so many ranges of topics and have a genuinely good time, which lifts my mood and crave more. I can't wait to see what you do next. If you don't share this 5-star review, I will unsubscribe. Thanks so much.
That's a great
so
review.
nice.
Thanks,
That is
pal.
why we love our show, is because we don't want to be up our own asses like a lot of these other film podcasts.
You know what I just realized that blows my mind every time is that we always have a new review to say in each episode.
It's pretty great.
It's amazing.
It's really amazing.
Yeah.
That's how we grow. Is the 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts are the number one way we get seen.
It's just it blows my mind that we always have one to say.
It's pretty great.
It's awesome.
It's a good thing to have. We're very lucky. All right, on this day in film history, today is April 18th. In 2003, Holes is released. In 2008, Forgetting Sarah
You forgot to
Marshall.
say the classic Holes is
The
released.
classic Disney film Holes is released. Is it Disney?
Yeah.
Disney Channel? Yeah.
Yeah.
2008, Forgetting Sarah Marshall is released. 2013, Iron Man 3 premieres. In 2014, Transcendence is released and bombed.
Let's forget about that one.
Yeah, I know Wally Fisher wants to forget that.
Chris.
Nolan's like, I can't
I
believe
lost, I lost 20 mil on that.
God damn it, Wally. Happy birthday to Rick Moranis, Conan O'Brien, Maria Bello, David Tennant, Eli Roth, Melissa Joan Hart, America Ferrera, and Vanessa Kirby.
Oh, the great actor.
I know.
Maria Bello's a very underrated actor, too. She's
Yeah, for
great
sure.
in A History of Violence.
And we got Conan in there, Rick Moranis. That's a great list. We got a doctor,
Conan from Boston, kid.
Eli. He's from
You
Mass.
guys want to know a fun fact about Conan O'Brien? He is first cousins with Dennis Leary.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Anyways. Cool fact.
Well, I'm sure they loved it, Jim.
My streaming recommendation is on Netflix. It is Apollo 10.5, a space age adventure. This is directed by Richard Linklater.
Not surprised you picked that.
Thanks, man. I love space.
Next up, my streaming recommendation is Akira, which is now on Hulu.
Oh, no way. Super cool.
All right, want to move on to the rest of the episode?
Let's get back into our conversation about Ripley and Maximus. And how about we do a little quick fun one? We'll do a fun category after wardrobe and costume.
Sounds wonderful.
Maximus has his brilliant general attire in the opening of this film, the battle. But then he's
I love the pads and
great
the cloak.
wardrobe. It looks awesome.
And the snow is just falling on it. It's great.
And then he trades that in for gladiator tunics once he is imprisoned and becomes a slave, and then battles in the arenas. And he basically just wears gladiator tunics for the rest of the film.
But he has a great chess piece with the 2 white horses on it.
Yeah, that his owner gives him.
Yeah, I love that chess piece, and I think it's iconic. It's his most memorable piece of clothing in his entire career, Russell Crowe. And that is just like, with the sandals, swords and sandals, you got to have the sandals.
Paired with the badass skull helmet that he wears to hide his identity. That thing is so cool.
Yeah,
it's iconic.
I love it. I love
the
it.
character as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ripley has just a really cool flight outfit in the first
jumpsuit.
film. I love it. It's like just a one-piece flight suit, and it looks pretty cool.
And then in Aliens, it's the future, so everyone flips up their collars on their blazers. That way it's the future.
All right, how about we have some fun, and then we'll go back to deep analysis stuff.
Let's do it.
All right, you wanna start this off?
Yeah. So we made a bunch of questions that would be just fun little tidbits about like each character. Okay, so the first question is, which character would make a better roommate and why?
A better roommate. I'm going with Maximus because he's a military man, very neat and orderly, and I think that he would just have everything like cleaned like crazy and organized. And he's probably quiet, keeps to himself.
Reads a lot of books.
He's
just tending to his garden.
He's training, tending to his garden. I think he'd be pretty easy to live with.
I picked Ripley because she likes cats.
Oh yeah, you guys would get along so well.
She likes to read. She seems like a quiet, laid-back person, very personable, easy to communicate with. So I think that she would be a pretty great roommate, honestly.
Yeah, good pick.
Okay, next up, what kind of car would they drive if they were living here right now?
I have Maximus driving a Ford F-250.
It's funny you say that. I said a Dodge Ram pickup truck.
And if he's living somewhere cold with snow, he's got a plow hooked up to it in the wintertime.
Maximus definitely has a plow, 100%.
Definitely.
100%.
And then for Ripley, I picked no car. She rides a bike. She goes green.
I picked a Tesla.
Yeah.
She drives a Tesla.
Good pick.
Yeah. Because she's very intelligent. She's an engineer.
Scientific, yeah.
She clearly makes a lot of money, so she can afford a nice Tesla. Okay, next up. What superhero would they be? Could they pull off and why?
So I picked...
Or villain.
So for superheroes, I picked Logan for Maximus. Not because of Russell Crowe, but because of Maximus, the character, who's got so much potential, so many great strengths in terms of combat, but also he has this undying revenge, and he seeks vengeance for his family. So he becomes like a savage in that way, kind of like how you can see Logan is full of revenge and hate at times as well.
I like that pick a lot.
Because you would think like, oh, Superman or something like that, but like someone like Superman wouldn't like be acting out of revenge like someone like Logan
And
would.
They're really good at killing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're excellent at
really
killing
good
people.
with blades.
Yeah, the blades, the sword, and then, oh man, pretty good.
Thanks, man.
I picked Captain America because he has incredible leadership qualities. He's extremely selfless, and he does everything for the greater good of his men and his people, and for the good of Rome. And so, in Captain America, I mean, I don't know the comics, but he seems like someone who kills people. He's not like Batman or Superman and refused to kill, because he was in World War II. You know what I mean? He was a soldier. So I think Captain America is someone who kills people when it's necessary. And in the movie, Captain America, the first one, he's firing a pistol at people. We don't see what he's shooting at, but you can assume he's headshot.
Steve Rogers has never killed anybody. How dare you?
Who's he firing a gun
He
at?
shoots at barrels. It's for intimidation. He's making explosions that create diversions.
He's shooting the lights.
Yeah.
I think Steve Rogers kills.
Probably.
That's what I would say.
I mean,
he was a soldier in World War II.
But he's kind of like, what's his name in Hacksaw Ridge? He's kind of like that character. He doesn't want to kill. He's there to do good.
No, he's not.
He's a leader.
No, what do you call that?
Pacifist?
Conscientious objector.
Sort of.
He fights.
He probably does.
Yeah.
He's probably killed a bunch of people.
Oh, he's killed a shit ton.
Kill a lot of aliens for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and then Ripley, I picked the Invisible Woman from the Fantastic Four.
I like it.
I think that's a really great, nuanced, and I think interesting power that just suits her personality really well.
I picked Iron Woman.
Oh, that's cool.
Because she's an engineer. She could probably, handle the tech and know how to operate it. And I mean, she doesn't have the same personality as Tony Stark, but I mean, I'd say you wouldn't have to be Tony Stark to be an Iron Man. So I would say Iron Woman would be cool.
Cool.
Okay. Who would you rather hang out with?
I'm going Ripley here. I don't think Maximus has really much of an interesting personality of like conversations outside of stabbing people with swords. So
I agree.
So like I'm going with Ripley. She seems really fun and cool.
You could shoot the shit with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, you totally could shoot.
You can grab a bear with Ripley. With Maximus, I don't know.
He probably doesn't even drink.
He's probably would just stare at you and be like, "Wish I was farming." He's got a bumper sticker on his truck that says, "I'd rather be farming."
He'd probably just talk about the men he killed.
I miss my wife. That's horrible.
All right. So, what is your favorite hero shot of the characters?
So for Maximus, it's after he throws the sword, after his I think it's his second gladiator battle, and he kills everybody too fast, and everybody hates it. And then he throws the sword at the wealthy slave owners and the people who were paid to see it. And he screams "Are you not entertained?" And he's got his arms up in the air. He's like, "Isn't this what you want? Like, you wanted me to kill people.
This is not why you are here."
And so, because this is like the start of Maximus starting to win the crowds. He doesn't know he's doing it yet, but this is when he starts to begin getting his popularity. He's getting his name out there because this will lead him to the Colosseum, where he has great character moments similar to that. But I think this is just the beginning of that, and it's just so badass. And they're all like, "Spaniard, Spaniard, Spaniard." And it's in the opening of a Jay-Z song. It's pretty cool.
I picked actually the moment right before that. It's when he exits the tunnel and the crowd already knows him from his other exploits and other fights that we haven't seen. And then so the crowd's cheering him, and Ridley does this great shot from the ground looking up at Maximus, making him look like a towering figure. And there are rose petals falling on top of him in the ground, and you just see the rose petals falling, and then a beautiful light behind him. That is like the hero shot. Like, that's it. Like, that's Maximus. That's what I pick.
And then Ripley, I'm sure we picked the same one.
Yeah.
When she comes out of the elevator, gun up, flamethrower ready to go, sweat, water dripping
loaded.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Let's go. There's an alien in here, but I'm going to keep running through these hallways.
Yeah, and the elevator doors just open, and she's like,
She
let's
steps
go.
out. It's so great.
Yeah, the alarms, the smoke, all the lights
One of
going
the best
off.
hero shots in film history.
Oh, 100%. It's such a great moment. Okay, what is their most human moment?
So for Maximus, I'm going to say probably when it's tough. Like, the first one I wanted to pick was when he's cutting out the tattoo on his shoulder, because obviously the Romans and the ancient cultures were very religious and would believe in the gods, and it's a very human thing to, I guess, betray your gods. That's what he's doing. He's cutting out the mark of the Legion, and he's exiling himself from the mark of the Legion, from Rome, and from his gods. So it's a very human thing to want to lash out against the things you believe in. So actually, I think that would be one of my favorite human moments for him.
I picked for Maximus when he spares the life of that veteran gladiator, even though the crowd wants him to, after he incapacitates the man and the man's on the ground, and the crowd wants him to finish him, and then even Commodus gives the thumbs down. Maximus spares the gladiator because that's not who he is as a man. That doesn't fit his morality. He kills when it's necessary, not when it's easy. And so I think that sparing that man who just tried to kill him, and everyone wants him to kill this man, but still Maximus says it's not the right thing to do. And so he spares the man, and that makes the crowd love him even more. I think that's his most human moment.
Cool. That's a good pick.
Thanks,
I
man.
like that. And then for Ripley, I think her most human moment is saving the cat.
I picked saving Newt.
Oh yeah, saving Newt. I was thinking only. I was thinking only alien. I don't know why. My brain was like, we're not talking about aliens.
Jonesy, that 4-year life expectancy.
Well, then really, her most human moment is when she first sees Newt and saves her, and she creates a very motherly bond with her immediately because she sees her own daughter in Newt, and she wants to save this child and takes her in as her own.
But I would say at the end it's better because the station's gonna blow.
Oh, and the Newt's
she
been
doesn't
taken.
have they could just leave and the alien will blow up in there. It's like the job's done. But she's like, we're not leaving until I get Newt, and then she goes and takes out that queen because Newt is like her surrogate daughter and it's her connection to humanity. And I think that risking her life to save Newt at the end when she didn't have to is her most human moment.
And the cat.
And the cat, Jonesy. There's actually
Jonesy's right here on my Funko.
Yeah, is he?
Yeah. She's holding Jonesy.
I love it.
In her one suit, in her flight suit.
Okay, what is their best scene?
It's so hard to pick one, especially for Gladiator, because there's so many great ones. And
it could be not even a full scene, but a moment. Like, what's your favorite moment?
I think it's a tie for me for two, if that's okay. So obviously when he reveals his identity to Commodus in the arena after he turns his back on him and he reveals his name, that might be the best quote in the movie. Oh, Maximus Decimus Meridius. And then another great one is, I think, when it's the gladiators' first battle at the Colosseum, and it's the Battle of Carthage. And this is basically the final battle in ancient Roman Carthage history where Rome finally defeated Carthage after hundreds of years of going to war with each other. And this is where they defeat Carthage for good, basically. And the slaves, the gladiators, are the Carthaginians, and then they're up against chariots.
It's set up to be a slaughter.
It's supposed to be a slaughter, just like the battle was in history. And because of Maximus and his bravery and his leadership, he takes this ragtag of slaves and gladiators and creates a commanding force with legitimate Roman legion procedures and tactics, and they defeat these chariots in this impossible foe. And it's really the first time that a crowd has ever seen anything like that at the Colosseum. He completely starts to win over not just the crowd of the Colosseum, but Rome, and specifically just the capital city. And then I'm sure word of mouth, his name's getting all across the empire of this gladiator that is leading these crazy battles in the Colosseum. So I think it's such a big character moment for him, and maybe the coolest battle scene I've ever seen in a movie, I think.
Yeah, I was stuck between those two scenes as well, but I went with his revealing himself to Commodus and that just amazing string of lines that Russell Crowe just destroys. And it's one of my favorite moments in film history. I listen to it all the time. So do you. In the album, there's a bonus album where they have dialogue in it.
It's great.
And just hearing that, like, while you're like working out or something, it's just like it's goosebumps. It's spine tingling. I think it's an amazing moment.
And then, so for best scene, we're specifically picking scenes for the character, though,
Character,
right?
yeah.
So for the best scene, I think in Alien was probably the chest burster, but specifically for Ripley, I think it's when she defeats the xenomorph. She thinks she's
Which
got
one?
At the end
of the first one?
The final one. So when she thinks she's got away from the xenomorph, and then she sees it in the ship hiding between those like pipes, just taking a cat nap. He's like waking up. He's like, where am I? Man, did my alarm go off?
I'm such a snoozer.
So
guilty.
Yeah, Xenomorph snoozes his alarm multiple times, but then Ripley, quick thinking, gets in the spacesuit, gets in the chair, and she's like hitting the eject button, but it's like her chair's spinning. It's taking a while for the gates to open up for her to be sucked into space. It's just such a high anxiety scene. I think it's the best moment in the movie too.
That's a great pick. I picked her defeating the Queen Xenomorph in the second one.
Great.
With the exosuit, and then fighting the Queen in the suit, and then also sucking it out with the vacuum into space. It's an amazing scene. It's just excellent. It's so much fun. Great action, and just such a great climax of the movie. And also the iconic line, "Get away from her, you bitch!"
So is that your favorite quote?
That's my favorite line from Ripley.
So
and then Maximus is
So
obviously...
I actually have, so for me, for Ripley, for best quote, I have two. Burke, I don't know which species is worse. And then also, I say we take off and nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
I like it.
And then Maximus, obviously, it's
my name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the north, general of the Felix legions, and loyal servant to the true emperor Marcus Aurelius. father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
It sounded like a church prayer. Also, honorable mentions, brothers, what we do in life echoes in eternity. And then, are you not entertained?
Yeah.
And then the frost, it sometimes makes the blade stick. I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. Such a badass line.
Love it, love it, love it.
Love.
All right. All right. What's the best acted moment for each of them?
Best acted moment. For Maximus, I'm probably gonna go with, when he's weeping and he, after he escapes his execution, riding the horse all night, riding the horse to its death, basically, to get to his wife and son. Russell Crowe crying at the feet of his burnt and hung wife and son. I think that's just the best piece of acting in the entire movie, probably.
I picked that too. He's like drooling. He's got snots everywhere. It's like he sells it so well, and it's beautifully filmed. I think it's a great moment of acting by Russell Crowe as well. All right. What about for Ripley by Sigourney Weaver?
I think Ripley, probably an alien. The scene where Ash reveals himself to be an android, and she realizes that, Mother, the computer system, Wayland Corp, has the only prerogative after she reads the programming and reads the objectives of the mission are to obtain the alien species. Crew is expendable. And just, I think her reaction to that, her reading that is really intense, really well acted. And then the sequence of her versus Ash being saved by Ash attacking her after that too.
So I picked, I like that pick. I picked an alien at the end in the third act when she's moving through the space station with the alien possibly around every corner, nook and cranny of the ship. And the way that Sigourney sold that fear and terror on her face, her breathing, she's like hyperventilating. Like she does so much and really sells that moment. I think very few actors have portrayed fear that well before. And I think she absolutely destroyed that moment. 100%. All right. Who has better hair? Is it Russell Crowe's Caesar cut or is it Ripley's curls?
Ripley's curls all day.
Yeah, Ripley's curls. Ripley's curls. And then who's their best friend?
Jonesy,
the
cat
for Ripley, and then Jubba for Maximus.
Oh yeah, 100%.
There's actually a lot of
Hunsu.
Yeah, he's a great actor. There's actually a bunch of great press photos that they never used for Ripley because there's like that one photo of her holding Jonesy. It's
like the flash photo.
Yeah, of like staring at camera, and she's got like a serious face. Like that was an official press photo, but there were a bunch of outtakes of that and of outtakes of another shot of her holding the cat. But like she's smiling with the cat.
What are they like on a couch, like laying down?
And then also in Aliens on that set, she's like holding the cat and like smiling, and it's like super cute. It looks like it's like a cat and its owner like posing for like a family photo. It's really funny.
There's one where the xenomorph's holding the
cat. Smile, Fluffy.
3 leads of the film.
All right, what would their modern day careers be?
For Maximus, I picked a rancher.
Oh, and also I'm saying, like, Maximus can't be a general of the army, and Ripley can't be a pilot engineer.
I have him as a rancher. He seems like kind of like a cowboy.
I like that.
Like even though we just saw the Outer Range show, but
but he has a farm.
He has like
that's where he wants to go.
Yeah, and he just has that like outlaw or not outlaw, like the cowboy stoic quality to him.
Outback.
Yeah.
I like that. That's actually a good pick. I picked football coach because he's a great leader and commander of troops.
Very good.
And great strategist. So he would probably have he'd be like the Remember the Titans, like undefeated season of high school football.
Good pick.
Yeah. And then for Ripley, I picked the CEO of a Fortune 500 company because she's an excellent strategist and leader. She knows how to handle a room full of men and get get her point across. And I think she could do a great job running a company.
I chose marine biologist.
Nice.
I figured she'd go into something with the sciences, and I think that even though she obviously doesn't like the xenomorphs, she respects the danger and threat of the xenomorphs, which not really anyone else does to the extent of wanting to go back and eradicate that. And because of that respect for this species of animal, you could say, or alien, I think that she has just a lot of respect for animals in general for that. And she saved the cat.
I like that.
So I think marine biologist.
Yeah, she loves animals. Yeah. You're right. Good pick. I like your picks for their careers.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Taking that F-250, ranching. And so Ripley will
Built
bike.
Ford tough.
Ripley will bike to work, whatever country she's in.
I'm Maximus, and I got a built Ford tough Ford F-250.
We're not sponsored by Ford. We have no coupon code. Sorry.
We also did a poll on social media.
Oh, let me get the most recent results.
Okay, so on both Instagram and Twitter, we did polls asking fans to vote who you taking, Maximus or Ripley. So let's hear the results.
On Instagram, our movie character showdown poll, who you got? Maximus got 68% of the vote. Ripley 32 out of over 215 votes. 214 votes? No, 315 votes.
Wow,
Sorry.
that's a lot of votes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then
Thanks, guys.
Then on Twitter, let me pull up the results.
Twitter.
Same question. Twitter poll, pretty similar. 67% for Maximus, 33% for Ellen Ripley.
So do we have to pick now who we taking?
I mean, I'm not.
It is a showdown.
I guess
It's a showdown. There needs to be a winner.
Maybe at the end of the movie, at the end of the episode.
Okay.
You also missed a section.
Which one?
Lowest moment.
Okay, so they both have extremely low moments. Every great character in a story, they have to have a moment where they lose everything, and their choices and actions brought them to the lowest point of the story, where there seems to be no hope for them to get out, and also maybe they've lost everything that means something to them. And so for Ripley, I think her lowest moment in all of the films is allowing Newt to be captured, because she lost her daughter already. She never got to see her daughter grow up, so she's lost her ability to be a mother, and then she finds a girl and she could be a mother again, and she does act as a mother to Newt very much. But although she allows Newt to be captured by an alien, so that's her moment, her lowest moment in any of the films, where all hope seems lost. But being the great character that she is, she manages to rise to the challenge and save Newt.
No, it's a great pick. I'm gonna go with the same answer that I had for a previous question, where after she finds out that she's expendable, the crew's expendable, and all Wayland cares about, the corporation, is getting the organism back to their labs.
Yeah, I like how he always calls it an organism.
So she's like, "Oh man, so we're all gonna die here."
Yeah.
You know, lowest of low, and
how do we get out of here?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then for Maximus, I think his lowest moment is the failed escape, his friends being killed, and then the rebellion basically being stamped out, and then captured by Commodus as well. So everything falls apart. His plan, the hopes that he has of getting to his army, because once he reaches his army, he's going to take Commodus and his army out. And so you're like, when you watch this movie for the first time, you're like, oh, he's going to get out, then we're going to have a huge battle. Nope. It's all goes to hell. He gets captured and his friends die.
I think his lowest moment is the murder of his family, specifically when he finds their dead bodies, that gets taken as a slave, and then the moments where he won't fight in Gladiator Camp 101. You know, he won't fight because he has no will to live yet. He's not exactly suicidal. You know, he doesn't want to kill himself, but he's like looking for a reason to go on. And he's not at the point of wanting to die yet. He wants to die, but he doesn't seem like he wants to yet. He's like waiting for fate to play out.
Excellent point. Okay, who has the better antagonist?
That's a tough question.
It's a tough
Because, I mean, Commodus is so evil and corrupt. And, I mean, to kill your own father, the act of patricide, that is one of the most horrific sins you could think of committing against somebody.
And such a great performance, too.
But also, Ripley is against a multi-trillion-dollar corporation that's full of greed. It doesn't care about its employees. They will...
I'm talking Xenomorph, though.
Yeah,
I think Xenomorph, you're going to go with the antagonist.
I mean, Wayland's as much as antagonist against Ripley as Xenomorph, if
true.
not more.
It's true.
Wayland might be more of an antagonist against Ripley, because Wayland Corp is the reason why they're in the situation, because Ash's programming says let the species, the organism, on board the ship.
Yeah.
You know, so I would say the Xenomorph is for sure an antagonist, but I always see Wayland as the main antagonist.
I like that.
The corporation.
That's an interesting perspective.
So I'm going with Wayland Corporation being the worst antagonist than Commodus.
I'm going with...
But I like Commodus more.
Yeah. So I'm going with the Xenomorph in the first Alien, but not the second Alien.
Perfect organism.
Yeah, it's perfect organism. I think it could be the greatest movie monster of all time. It's up there, and you could have a conversation for it being number one. But I say specifically Alien as opposed to Aliens, because I think in Aliens, since so many are killed, it kind of lessens the super undefeatable monster aspect of it, because we see like hundreds die. Whereas in the first one, it seems like it's an unstoppable beast. Like there's no way to defeat it. So I think in the first film, it is the greatest antagonist of both of these movies.
True, but let's stay on antagonists a little more. Maximus has other antagonists besides Commodus. I mean, he has the Praetorian Guard and the people who were loyal to him at first before, as well as other gladiators in every gladiator battle he's in, even though he has these huge high-stakes situations going on with Commodus and everything like that, and then he starts to get into politics, he still, once he steps out into any of these battles, could die, and so he has to focus on his immediate antagonist, in which each battle is a different thing. So it could just be the group of in the Battle of Carthage, or even before that, against all those guys that have like the boars' heads over their heads and stuff like that. So no matter what situation he's in, if he's in the arena, his immediate antagonist is the people he has to battle.
Great point. 100%.
And the Tigers,
he has
too.
many antagonists. Yeah,
Lots of antagonists.
Yeah.
Whereas Ripley, again, Wayland corporate interests, Xenomorph, and then the Facehuggers too.
Yeah. And then what's his name in the second film? The Wayland guy.
Oh, Burke.
Burke.
Yeah, Burke is a horrible villain.
Horrible
an
villain
antagonist
as well.
for sure.
Yeah.
He traps her and Newt inside that room with the Facehugger.
He also traps the crew with the Marines with the aliens when after the tracking map system.
Yeah, and also Ash in the first film, once he's revealed to be an android, he reveals it to her by trying to kill her, and he's got that iron grip that is just he can kill anybody. Super strong. And so they both have lots of antagonists, but again, I think their main antagonists are Wayland and then obviously Commodus.
Yeah, I like the Wayland as a pick.
Always looked at Wayland as an antagonist.
Yeah, you're right. Corporate villains.
100%.
Yeah.
Corporate baddies.
Corporate baddies.
Let's talk about some obstacles since we're on antagonists and stuff like that. Maximus, he has obviously many obstacles in this film. He's trying to survive in slavery. He survives the execution attempt on him by Commodus. He's trying to also survive Roman politics once he's starting to dabble in that. He's obviously in these frequent gladiator battles and often and usually has very unfair odds against him in the arena. In every single battle, the odds are stacked up against him. He has an unfair the opposing force has an unfair advantage every time.
Yeah, and also trying to save his family is an obstacle that he does not succeed in overcoming as well.
Mm-hmm. And then Ripley, on the other hand, obviously, Xenomorphs and Facehuggers are quite the obstacle to overcome. Wayland corporate interests. Space? You're in space? It's the most difficult environment to survive for a human being is space, besides fire and just the bottom of the ocean with no gear. And then also, she's dealing with being around so many men. Sexism comes into play in both these films, and that's the entire metaphor, or the reason of the alien impregnating a male is to show like the opposite of what happens to what would happen to a man if he was raped by an alien or species. So she deals with these themes of sexism throughout both films.
And also, there's another major obstacle from both films, ticking clock. So both films' third acts, they have ticking clocks of the space station counting down to blow the hell up, and she has to get into the station and escape the station in time to survive the blast both times. So the ticking clock is a great obstacle for her to overcome both times.
I also have a list of most heroic moments for both characters.
Let's hear it, man.
So for Maximus, I think his speeches are really great. I love his speech to his men in the opening battle against the Germania. And then obviously initially turning down Marcus Aurelius to become Caesar, which he never officially accepts the role of becoming Caesar. He just kind of leaves the room. But I think it's insinuated that he's going to become Caesar, saving his fellow gladiators in the arena when he doesn't have to, sparing the life of the one gladiator, the legend that he comes out of retirement, like Anthony brought up earlier, winning the crowds, creating a rebellion, and defeating Commodus despite being fatally wounded in secret. And also, I think one of the most heroic traits of Maximus is, at first after his family's killed, he has really no will to live until he finds the will to live, which is to kill Commodus. There's some way that I can stand in front of the emperor with a sword, and that's going to be my goal. That's my mission in life, is to somehow kill Commodus in the arena. That's the only way I can get him exposed one-on-one in a fight. But before that, but up until that point, that's really what his only goal and motivation was. And it's not until he's secretly meeting with Lucilla that he starts to get involved with political interests for the people of Rome. And now he starts to head into the category of being a martyr, which he eventually becomes for the Roman people, for the Republic, to bring democracy back to Rome, to bring the power back to the people. Now he sees that he can be a part of change in the empire because Commodus is such a tyrant. So I think it's very heroic for him to then take on the role of being a political martyr for the Roman Empire.
And his final act is heroic. He carries out the wishes of Marcus Aurelius to enact the beginning stages of the change of Rome and for the better, giving power back to the people of Rome.
Give power back to the people of Rome to end the corruption that has crippled it.
So his final moment is, in a way, his most heroic moment on death's doorstep as he enters Elysium.
Now let's move on to Ripley. Here's a list of her most heroic moments in her films of aliens. So we talked about earlier, she tried to uphold the quarantine procedures in Alien. Unfortunately, Burke overrided her orders because he's got corporate greed in his programming. Oh, what did I say, Burke?
Yeah.
Oh, I meant Ash. I'm sorry.
Jesus, did you even watch the movie?
Obviously, the flamethrower escape, walking around those hallways,
yeah.
is probably the bravest thing that's happened in the entire Alien franchise.
And also, blowing it up. Sorry.
Blowing up the Nostromo, tricking and then blasting the xenomorph into space, going back to LV-426 in Aliens, which is crazy. Like, that's the bravest thing I've ever seen in a movie. Saving Newt multiple times. Ripley saving the Colonial Marines when their superior officer freezes in command like a chump. We talked about that earlier when she crashes the APC vehicle into the wall to get the Marines, give them a chance to escape. And then obviously fighting the alien queen with the P-5000 powered work loader and then blasting that effing thing to space.
But before that, deciding to... Oh, I'm sorry. You already said it.
What
save Newt.
Yeah, I got you. Saving Newt
You already said
twice.
it. Yeah, you said it twice.
I got you, bro.
Thanks, brah. Very heroic indeed. She has heroic moments in the other films as well, and in the third film. But
I mean, she sacrifices herself at the end.
Yeah, legit, like Jesus style with her arms out. But they're not the same movies.
I mean, it's not Ripley. It's a clone.
Doesn't feel...
It's like a superhuman clone version of Ripley.
And
it's the fourth of a film franchise. Like, oh, what should we do now? Give her superpowers. Yeah. Kind of sounds like Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, she throws the basketball from like full court from behind her head.
She did that in one take, actually, which is really cool.
But also, I really hate, like, there's few things I hate about in movies, like, especially in a Fincher movie. I hate how the movie opens with Newt and what's his name dead in their sleep locks, and then Ripley's the survivor, like
Alien 3.
Yeah, in Alien 3. I hate how that movie opens. I think it's just like, wow, we have these awesome characters that we just met and we love them all. Now let's kill them all.
Hey, it's what happens when there's too much studio overreach in a film, and that's why that production was doomed. But Fincher somehow made a pretty good movie out of. It's like one of the worst productions, like, in Hollywood history, like the last 3 decades, for a big blockbuster like that. Like, there's a documentary about how bad it was for him. It's crazy. Now, just a couple more things to talk about. Specifically, I want to talk about the impact that Ripley and Maximus have both had on cinema and the legacy of their characters. And so, Maximus, and I think Gladiator in general, it's probably the greatest ancient culture movie ever made, in my opinion. It won Best Picture in 2000. I think it's the best movie to win Best Picture in the 21st century. I'm not saying it's the best movie of the 21st century. I'm saying it's the Best Picture winner at the Academy Awards of the 21st century. And it's just a movie and a character that no one's been able to even come close to capturing.
They've tried.
Even though they tried a lot. I mean, Jon Snow is probably the closest thing we've gotten to Maximus in fiction. And it's a character I think will live on forever because, like Anthony said earlier in the episode, he's like the ultimate hero in cinema and in fiction. He is just a great leader, and there's nothing you can dislike about Maximus. He's just a perfect character in every single way, even though he's got flaws.
Yeah, but when you make like a heroic character who's a warrior, especially in an ancient culture, it's like you're obviously going to be compared to Maximus and Gladiator. Mm-hmm. And I agree, I almost agree with you. I think there might be 1 or 2 movies that are better than Gladiator that won Best Picture, but I think it's definitely one of the most deserving movies to win Best Picture of all time.
Well, it's my favorite. I'll say it's my favorite to win Best Picture.
It might be my favorite to win too.
There have been some great ones, but there have been some
not so great ones.
Really?
Not so great ones. But
they don't make movies like this anymore.
Exactly.
Just like they don't make movies like Alien anymore.
Yeah, and I love a great stoic hero, and
Yeah, they like stoic guys.
I like stoicism, yeah. But he has such high morality, but it's the kind of writing of a character that he's not telling you what he's thinking or like giving exposition about his past. We don't need to like know anything. Like it's just like it's no BS. It's just the character. It's so well performed by
not an
Russell
origin
Crowe.
story.
Yeah, not origins. We don't need to see how Maximus became a general.
Maximus origins. Ripley origins.
There's no need.
Ripley origins would be here in quarantine.
How
for
did
16
Ripley
years.
become second in command? Don't need to see it. But I think Maximus will always be the quintessential iconic hero figure in movies.
And then Ellen Ripley, huge impact in cinema for having a female lead of first a massive sci-fi horror film and then a massive sci-fi horror action movie. She's like the original action female star, Sigourney Weaver.
Is, yeah, 100%.
Ellen Ripley was originally written in the first few drafts of the script was a male character. It was just pretty much all male characters in this movie. And it's not until Ridley Scott and a couple other producers got involved with the script that they're like, they think this movie would work better if Ripley was a female. Like the character's name was like Robert or something like that. I can't remember. It was another R name. But then they're like, why not make it a female? What about like Ripley? That's like a really good R name for a woman and a character. And it turned out to be one of the most iconic roles in the history of cinema. Ellen Ripley by Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, Ripley's one of the
legendary.
most loved film characters ever. 100%.
For real. I mean, we love these movies. I love Alien so much. Alien and Gladiator are both in my top 10 probably favorite movies, that even though it's always cycling, but like right now those are in my top 10.
And this was 40 years ago.
Yeah, and it's because of Ripley.
Yeah.
And it's because of Maximus. And their impact and legacy on cinema is going to be everlasting. These movies will live on forever. And same thing with Maximus. A lot of people have been trying to make characters similar to Ripley. It's hard to try to replicate such a perfect character. They're both incredible.
And even in Alien Covenant, it's that
they try to make Ripley a couple more
Ripley
times.
Again,
You know what I mean? What's her name from Fantastic Beasts?
Yeah.
It's a very similar Ripley character.
Catherine Waterston.
Yeah, so like they've tried to make Ripley a few times. They've tried to remake Maximus a few times, and it's really hard to do when you have such a perfect original character.
And also the performer is so vital because Sigourney's great in this. She was nominated for an Oscar in Alien. She's really a remarkable actor, super, super talented. And I think Russell Crowe, I don't think people say it and really talk about him this way, but I think he's one of the best actors of all time, even though he's still working.
His filmography is ridiculous.
It's insane. He had like the craziest 10-year run from the late 90s to the mid-2000s. It's absurd what this guy did. Like back-to-back nominations. Like he could easily have won like 4 Oscars. You could see that happening without being like, hey, I have no problem with that. Extremely, exceptionally talented actor and such a great, nuanced actor as well. And I think this is his best performance. He won Best Actor for this movie. But I think the characters are a testament to how great the performers are. Because like you were just saying, like there's been plenty of like Ripley knockoffs and other Maximus knockoffs, but you never remember those ones. No matter, even though they're the same kind of archetype, they're the same kind of story, they do a lot of the same things, but still it's like you remember these two in particular so well because of how great these actors are and how iconic the performances were.
All right, who are you picking? Who's your favorite of the two?
I'm going Maximus.
Yeah,
I'm going Maximus.
I'm going Maximus.
I'm sorry for everyone who voted Ripley.
I can quote Gladiator.
It's hard. It's like, hard to pick
the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like that's one of my all-time favorite. It's like my number one favorite movie right now.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with Maximus. That's the thing. I always have been.
But there are so many other characters. If I was going to pit them against Ripley, I would take Ripley.
It's a tough choice.
It's hard to not pick Max. I would take Maximus over nearly every movie character ever.
But they're two of my top 5 favorite movie characters of all time.
Yeah.
Like my Funkos are only my favorite characters in movies, and I have them both because they're great. But I mean,
I wanted the Ripley, but you already got it, so I was like, damn, I can't get the Ripley one.
Can't copycat me.
Dang.
It's just like Maximus is my guy, dude. Like one of my.
I feel like he's my dad.
I've seen Gladiator so many times. It's stupid, like 30 times.
It never
because
gets
of
old.
Maximus.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sorry, Ripley. I love you so much too, but.
It's a hard pick, man.
It's tough.
I was thinking about it the wole episode.
Especially because she's in 2 masterpieces.
Yeah.
Alien and Aliens are both incredible films. 2 of the best all time. Top 100, right? For both of our lists.
Oh, yeah. Top 100 for favorite films, for sure.
Man, it is a tough pick. I'm sorry, Ripley. I love you, but
sorry, Ripley.
Maximus is just too much of a man crush.
Sorry, Ripley.
All right. that wraps our. Leave us a comment and a DM if you let us know who you pick between the two of them.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. We hope you enjoyed it. It's our first of our series of
Character showdowns.
It's not like who's better than the other. It's just for fun and for comparative sakes. And it's a hero versus hero. And we're gonna do the same thing with villains too. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Just take Anton Chigurh and compare him to Heath Ledger's Joker or something like that. It'd be a blast. Or even do computer systems. Do HAL versus some other computer system. That'd be a blast. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening. Hit the notification bell. Become a patron at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Become a part of the show today. And thank you so much for the support.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Be sure to subscribe if you're new. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. Find us on all audio streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find us. Find us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Be sure to check out one of these other videos right here for more content on our favorite films and breaking down all kinds of movie content. Thanks so much.